Land podcast with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Nick Paulus.
Yes, I know the Browns had 13 penalties today, and they may have only scored 3 points after scoring 38 in the first half, only 3 points in the second half, and it didn't always look great, and they made our hearts race when they were out to such a big lead, but we'll get into all of that tonight, but really, none of that matters. The Browns are 9-3. We secured a winning record for the first time since 2007, 2 4-game winning streaks this season, which has not happened since 1967, and we are celebrating here tonight on this edition of The Voice of the Land, a Big Play production, also partnered with Web Streaming Studio by LPV Production. I am one of your hosts, Kevin Arnold. Alongside me, as always, my brother, Nick Paulus, and of course, our producer extraordinaire behind the proverbial glass, who still will not put a camera on himself. Nope. Peter Tillett. Of course, you can always find the show live every Sunday night after Browns games. And yes, we will be live next Sunday as well, even though the Browns play on a Monday night. We'll get into all of that moving forward. We're here to celebrate here tonight. You can always find us on our Twitter page at VTL_pod. Same handle for our Instagram page. You can also find us now on our Facebook page at Voice of Land or Big Play's Facebook page at Big Play and their YouTube page at Big Play Live. Get all of the clips, all of that information, special video clips we may post on our YouTube page at Voice of Land Podcast. And now we have a website, voiceoftheland.com, where you can get your very own Voice of Land t-shirt. We also have long sleeve t-shirts and some coffee mugs as well. So if you want to walk around town helping us promote the show and put our faces right there in front of you, then go on over to voiceofland.com. We'll have all of the stuff from our live show posted there and all of the information. And I know we'll have some bios up there for us as well. I just sent mine to you, Peter. I know you've been asking for a couple weeks. I just sent you mine.
Still need to do mine, yeah. Don't worry. I already knew that it was coming.
It's all right.
Oh, yeah.
You get a
I even asked you this week. I was like, oh, yeah, so where do you want that sent? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to do that, yeah.
I'll give you a little skeleton model of what I kind of did.
Perfect.
See,
yeah, appreciate that.
Peter, let me know what you think of it before we make that live. But our website, voiceofland.com, is live where you can get all of that information. And, of course, we always need to thank our sponsor at DP Construction LLC, which you can find them on Facebook at DP Construction LLC. Reach out to them and Tyler LaFrada at gmail.com, or call them at the number 330-217-4999. That is 330-217-4999. Look at their Facebook page. They got a lot of great pictures. Any of your concrete construction needs, Uncle Steve and Tyler will take care of you. They are Browns fans. They are Cleveland fans. They know what it takes to get the job done, and they will do right by you every single time. With that being said, we're just going to jump right in. We'll get into some Buckeye talk and maybe a little soccer or Mandalorian. We don't know, but Browns is going to be the main focus. Speaking of soccer, I do want to just remind everybody, we had a few weeks back, we did have the Cleveland Crunch on. The indoor team is coming back to town to play in November of 2021. They just had a few signings. We'll get into that later in the show, but want to remind everybody, North Olmsted Sportsplex, they will be having tryouts. $80 fee to sign up, but they will be having tryouts to join the team. If you still have aspirations to play professional soccer and play with a great organization like the Cleveland Crunch, check them out this Saturday and Sunday, next weekend, December 12th and 13th. They will be having those tryouts, so check them out there. Switching gears, though, to American football, and the Cleveland Browns are 9-3. Paulus, you got to be riding sky high today. I got to imagine. I stayed off Twitter. I got to imagine the gifts were on point today.
Oh, you know it. Come on. Come on. Absolutely. We are 9-3 for the first time since 1994. 1994, how old were you? Were you even born?
Yes, yes, I was born in...
I'm just double checking.
For the record, I was born in 1991, so I was 3 years old.
3 years old.
And I don't remember anything.
I was... at 1994, I would have been 6 years old. 6 years old. This is ridiculous. The fact that it has been this long, I'm so happy that we have Kevin Stefanski and Baker Mayfield, What's what's this episode called?
Baker is our guy.
Is Baker our guy?
No,
right?
Baker is our
Baker
guy.
is our guy. Question mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the question to everybody out there that's tuning in. You can comment on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you're watching right now. Give us your thoughts. We're going to give our thoughts here. I know the guys want to talk about their full reaction from the game, but we're going to let you know if we think Baker is our guy. A little tease.
I sent this tweet out 9 hours ago. I truly believe today is the day that we find out Baker Mayfield is the Browns franchise quarterback. Whether or not that's a good thing or not. He has to make plays in order for us to win this huge game. P.S. I have faith that he will. By the way, I am so happy I tweeted that out because I've been getting reaction after reaction after reaction of people going like, this aged well. You know, not the typical like, oh, this aged poorly or anything like that. You know, this, to me, we actually legitimately found our franchise quarterback. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, now he's what, 6-12 now against ranked opponents. This was the game. You had everything going for you. Okay. A defense that isn't really all that great, but you're going up against a team that can run the ball. They are mere images of each other. The way that, you know, they had the amazing running back in Derrick Henry, who the Browns actually locked up for like the entire day, which was extremely surprising there for us. We finally found our quarterback. I already told you we found our coach. Kevin Stefanski is that dude. I truly do believe that Stefanski will lead us to a Super Bowl, 100%. Beating this Tennessee Titans team and now going to 9-3, you legitimize yourself as a Super Bowl contender, not a playoff contender, which you are now certifiably, I believe, 95%, percentage-wise, to link up that playoff spot. You are a legitimate Super Bowl contender. I know you and I have talked about this previously and how you don't want to rush into something like that. I'm telling you, Kevin, this is a Super Bowl team. If you can run and play defense like the first half, as well as you did, that is something that travels. And if Baker is balling out like he did this afternoon, which, I mean, the running game sets up everything perfectly. Right? Nick Chubb didn't have a great running game, especially in the first half. Yeah, I mean, he was starting to get those, chunk yards after a while, but he didn't have a great first half.
He didn't.
But the threat of him breaking one loose kept everyone in the box. Dan Orlovsky of ESPN, ESPN analyst, actually did like a play-by-play breakdown of the Donovan Peoples-Jones 75-yard touchdown. By the way, beautiful play. Oh my God, was that gorgeous?
Ooh, that hit the one to Higgins though. I might argue like a little bit prettier.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm cool. like at this point in time,
we're arguing semantics at this point.
Exactly. We're splitting hairs here. But that Donovan Peoples-Jones, he broke it down so perfectly. And the reason why he had 15 yards of separation was because obviously the guy bit on the play action. Bit on the cut in and then just went out. And I mean, the running game had everything to do with that because there were 10 guys in the box right there. All he had to do was beat the safety. At that point in time, that's all he had to do. It was fan-freaking-tastic the way that this game was performed, at least the first half. The second half obviously got a little squirrely towards the end, which is something that they absolutely have to work on. But today, we found our quarterback. I believe that. I want to know, do you feel the same way?
Well, let's find out from Peter. Have we found our quarterback? Well, I know that we kind of thought his rookie year went backwards last year, as Paulus likes to say, with bumbling Freddie Kitchens at the helm.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But is he the guy?
I'm going to be honest. When we first drafted Baker, I was not a fan because, I'm like, oh man, I can't believe. And last year was a huge disappointment. But I'll tell you what, if he can continue to play, like he played today, then yeah, I think he is. But I'm a long-time Cleveland fan, so I got week after week, you got to keep proving it to me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the way he came out and the Browns came out the first half today I was sitting there in shock. The second half, that's a whole nother story, But they did what they needed to do to win. And right now, yeah, I think Baker's our guy.
I've never waned from Baker being our guy. It's just he does things to question that belief in him because he looks so good on certain throws.
Sure.
And then can miss the easy ones. Today, he made all the throws in the first half. And he made some in the second half, too. A couple drops that kind of like run plays, those crossing routes, those 5 to 6 yard crossing routes by Higgins and Jarvis that get dropped. That doesn't just get you a first down, that keeps the clock moving. So, I'm not making excuses for how the second half went. They have to be better at closing. Mm-hmm. But we're 9-3, and we haven't played a full game yet. You can see the negative in that, but that's the coach's job. We'll dig into Coach Kev's corner and what Coach Kevin Stefanski's probably telling his team after that game. And it'll be very brief tonight. Trust me. Coach Kev's corner, I don't got much to coach on tonight. It'll be just what is Coach Stefanski really thinking and telling his guys from a coaching standpoint. But I will say that when we first drafted him, I was skeptical. And I was on, those 4 quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, Rosen, and Baker, of the top 4. I was a Sam Darnold guy, and I can admit that. I can admit that I was wrong about that.
Sure.
He's of course, Darnold in a system in New York with the Jets that has probably done what a lot of young quarterbacks here in Cleveland have had happen to them, have had their development ability derailed by what's gone on around them, and they just didn't have enough talent to then oversee what was being done to their development by the coaching staffs. But after that rookie year, you saw the moxie, the confidence, and the leader that Baker could be. Last year really made you question that. This year, though, was a prove-it year, and it's still that. Let's be realistic that
of course.
You can't just go out there and do that this first half and you win against a good team and then do the same thing against the Ravens on Monday night that you did against the Ravens week 1. You can't have that ebb and flow if you're going to continue
progression and regression.
That's not a franchise quarterback. But I believe Baker is our guy because when he goes out there, he has really taken on the mantra of Coach Stefanski, because when Coach Stefanski makes a mistake, you rarely see it happen again, or maybe twice, but that's it. Baker, and he even said it, and I love that he's doing this, he's got the pop culture references on point right now, and when you mention The Office, when you quote Dwight Schrute,
right,
you know I'm going to be an even bigger fan of you. So I'm going to be wearing the jersey that I wore on Friday to work, to Fan Friday. I'm going to be wearing that proudly. And I'm hoping within reason and safely, fans, the 12,000 fans, can still be there Monday night so that there is some energy infused into First Energy Stadium.
Right.
Because I have tickets to that game.
There you go.
And, I mean, the tickets are way up top, and we would be, just 2 of us by ourselves, so we would be well past the 6 feet away from people. We're going to wear our masks. Like, we're going to do all – I'm going to do and wear whatever I need to be in that stadium safely to try to help infuse more energy and show this team what they just were able to go on the road and do, what the fans are really feeling, being 9-3 and on the cusp of the playoffs for the first time since 2002.
So I just want to throw this all out there. Once again, Baker Mayfield performed unbelievably well in the first half.
Yes.
Okay. The second half, he was rarely used.
Yes.
It's because they were trying to cut down, like they were trying to run out the clock. They were
it's
trying
that
to
balance of do you stay aggressive
Right.
or do you try to run out the clock?
Right.
But you're trying to run out 30 minutes on the clock instead of just 7 or 8
Right.
when you're in the fourth quarter.
100%. And did he have a fumble today? Yeah. I mean, did he have a turnover? Yeah, a fumble. And he's had actually 2 fumbles, I believe, in the last 3 weeks. So dating back to the Philly game, I believe he had a fumble there as well. But outside of those turnovers, he hasn't thrown an interception in 5 games. Like, this is the moment. Once again, the reason why I'm saying he's my franchise quarterback now isn't just because of this game.
Right.
And a lot of people were thinking, like, oh, you can't judge it on one game. No, I'm judging it over the last 5 games. He has been excellent the last 5 games. And a couple of those were weather games, so he wasn't throwing a whole lot. But guess what? He wasn't turning the ball over. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, well, he hasn't thrown an interception in a while. It's because he's not really throwing. He threw 33 times today. Completed 25 of them.
And it wasn't just dink and dunk 5 yards.
Hell no, it wasn't.
It was zipping them. Like the one that Jarvis didn't catch, he had a lot of speed on that with the 5 yards.
That one killed me. And then obviously the Donovan Peoples-Jones, that was another touchdown right there.
That's got to be caught. And with the Jarvis Landry, yes, Baker put a lot of pace on it. He's got to continue to learn touch. But that also comes to there's fault on both ends.
Of course.
Jarvis has got to catch that because him and OBJ are catching one hands out of the jugs machine, and they're sending those things at you.
And thank you for saying that, because like I've never seen Jarvis drop something that literally went straight through his hands and hit him in the face mask. I've never seen that happen before. So obviously that's a rarity. I'm just going to move past that play.
Hey, he blessed them today.
Blessed, absolutely. But Donovan Peoples-Jones, he needs to learn from that. And guess what? Redemption tour, he got it. 75-yard touchdown will do that to you. Yeah, I think he had 2 receptions for 92 yards or something like that. Yeah. 2 receptions, 92 yards.
I think.
Yeah. Higgs had 6 for 95. Like, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not going there.
I don't know where you're going.
Where I was going. I was talking wide receivers, and we're doing really well. You knew where I was going.
Oh.
I'm moving off of that.
Oh, I may have heard that conversation.
Yeah.
On the official Browns postgame show, like their official Browns postgame show, I may have heard that conversation. I'm not going there.
You know what? I want to put this out there for everyone out there to think that we would be a better team without Odell Beckham Jr. out there.
There you go.
It's ridiculous. Odell is a special talent. Now, does he take away from the defense? Does he do a lot of things that you don't see out there? Yeah. Does Baker force some throws? Yeah, he does. Yeah, let's be honest. But whenever he went out weeks ago, you and I were talking about this. I thought we would see rookie Baker. Guess what's happening? Rookie Baker season is happening. Go back, check out the tweets. I guarantee you'll see it, because I truly did believe that Baker was going to get back to his normal self. I don't even count, like you were talking about last year, Freddie Kitchens, bumbling Freddie Kitchens. I don't even count last year because of how much of a crap show that was. And I think we're all going to agree with that having Freddie Kitchens as a head coach is probably like one of the top 3 worst decisions Jimmy Haslam has probably ever made in his entire life.
Well, if I knew The Office is something that Baker Mayfield responds to, I would have just put a loop I would have just put it on a loop, that Dwight Schrute quote for him last year when he had to deal with Freddie Kitchens and been like, when I think about what an idiot would do, would an idiot do this thing? I don't do that thing.
Right. I want to throw it out there. I want to throw it out to the people. Do you think that we have our franchise quarterback? Because I'm a believer. I said going into this game that if he stunk up the joint like he did against Pittsburgh, like he did against Baltimore in week 1, which once again, we've thrown that tape out.
Yeah.
Kevin Stefanski's first game, blah, 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 first game of the year during COVID. I get that game. I think we're going to kick the ass of the Baltimore Ravens. They are in trouble with a lot of COVID issues. They're still recovering from a lot of that. I know Lamar is going to be playing on Tuesday. That just came down. So he is going to be fresh and ready for Monday night, most likely, whenever we play them. But I think that we have an excellent chance of not only locking up our playoff spot, but possibly knocking out the Baltimore Ravens, which at 14-2 last year, like, who would have seen that coming? Like, it blows me away. Now, the Ravens do have an easy, like a cakewalk schedule the rest of the year. This Monday night game is the toughest one. But what they showed me against the Steelers last Wednesday, which Wednesday football, that was I liked it. It was a crap game, between the both of them. But I'll take football any day. But I'm just so happy that the Browns are doing what I thought that they had the possibility to do. And it's going to take a lot more for them to get to where I think they should go. Once again, Super Bowl. Super Bowl. We are that dominant of a rushing attack. And if Baker's on point like he was today, there are very few teams out there that can keep up with us. I do think Kansas City is that dominant. I do believe that Pittsburgh, even a lot of people are still throwing rocks at them. They're like a lot of people
the
are
worst 11-0 team of all time,
which is ridiculous.
They're going to lose the first playoff game that they play.
They could. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel so confident about this game, especially after what I saw from Baker today. It just warms my heart.
It is warming to the heart. I want this to be celebration because we've done the realism, and there will be some realism here because there is one question I have for you guys I do want to kind of get into, but I will disagree to a certain extent to pump the brakes on the Super Bowl element, only because this team is ahead of schedule, which is awesome. Like, I cannot raise, if someone were to ask, like, look me dead in my eyes through this camera and ask me, did you have the Browns being 9-3, 12 games into the season with like 4 games to go and a playoff chase in their midst? I can't raise my hand. I thought at this time of the year, this is when we would kind of see them take an uptick, definitely show progress, and maybe be pushing for that 7th spot because of maybe being 6-6, 7-5, like getting back to this point. I thought this is when we would start to see the impact. If Kevin Stefanski was really going to start to put a winning culture together in Berea, this was the point of the season we were going to start to see the ramifications or the effects of that on this organization. But they've been able to do more than that to this point, and they have a lot set up for them to really push to the end of the season with a great record. They've been kind of going one game at a time. These last four weeks, they've been 1-0 each of those weeks. Since the bye week, they've won all 4 of those weeks. They looked at their mistakes, they looked at what they weren't doing right, and they've made corrections to those. Yeah, are there still other question marks? Sure. But that's why the NFL is so hard to win in. Because every team is going to have question marks. Even the Pittsburgh Steelers have question marks. If you are a Steelers fan, this is not a dig at you. We can do that all day long, fun, going back and forth with the rivalry and everything like that. Your team has question marks too. Can Ben sustain? Can they get enough out of their running game? They haven't always scored a lot of points. They've kind of come close against some good teams and been able to win those. Well, guess what? They've established a winning culture in Pittsburgh. Sorry to say it, Browns fans, but got to give them credit where credit is due.
6 Super Bowls will do that.
Yeah. You know? And the team they have now, they have guys that have been there for so long and have done it for so long. Yeah. So but every team has question marks. So that's not a bad thing.
Right.
It's something they got to work on. I'm just pumping the brakes on the Super Bowl talk because, again, I feel like they're ahead of schedule and they're not quite ready yet.
Well, on our Facebook here, Tim Golf says we need
Timmy.
We need linebackers for a Super Bowl, but then he also does point out that we're 9-3 and we didn't really.
I was going to say that. Tell that to Kansas City, Tim. Yeah. I don't think they had any defense. Well, they had Tyrann Mathieu. The Honey Badger will do that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you saw with their defense, like the first time going through with Patrick Mahomes when he won the MVP that year, without having a defense, they were only able to go so far.
Well,
they weren't
AFC Championship game still.
Right, but they weren't ready to take that leap.
Agreed.
Out of the conference. We gotta get to the playoffs because we haven't solidified that yet either.
I love Baker, and I know I just crowned him as the franchise quarterback. He ain't Patrick Mahomes. Okay,
no.
Like, we need a lot more. So I agree with Tim. You know, like, you absolutely need a defense to build around Baker. Baker needs. He might be the franchise guy, but he still needs a lot of people around him. It's not like Carson Wentz. The year he got injured and Nick Foles stepped in, you know, like, they had a lot of really healthy guys, you know, for them at that point in time. That's what you need. And I'm not saying Baker's Nick Foles,
right?
Okay, career backup, and got hot at the right time. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that you do need to have a lot of things break your way in order for something like that to happen.
Baker Mayfield, I think, also gets the detriment of he was the number one pick, and he's got to live up to that. But what people perceive every number one quarterback and number one pick of the NFL draft should do, Baker's not that guy, so he's criticized based on that. He is a piece of the puzzle, but a huge piece to the puzzle to this team getting back to actual relevant football, contending football, that we want to be talking about this team in the Super Bowl and having a show that talks about them going into the Super Bowl and after the Super Bowl.
I want a freaking parade.
Yeah, that's what we want in this football town.
Right.
We got a taste of it with the Cavs, but we know how die-hard football Cleveland is. We say it every single week.
Oh, of course.
And that's what we want to happen. But in order to get there, you're going to need some other pieces on this team along with Baker. People will criticize him because he is seen as a major puzzle piece and not what they think of as the guy. I don't see it as a negative, because if he's going to play like this, all day, every single game, all 16 weeks and beyond.
There's only one team that scares the daylights out of me whenever it comes to something like this, and obviously it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I like top to bottom Kansas City. I mean, because they have that dude at quarterback.
Yeah.
They can. We've seen it in the playoffs. They were down 24 to Houston, and this is whenever Houston was good.
Yeah.
They were down 24. And and within 3 quarters they put up 51. It's ridiculous how good that team is.
Hit you from every angle.
Absolutely. I mean, they got their quarterback now. Their run game isn't as dominant as what I thought it should be.
But Edwards-Helaire can hit you when
of course
you least expect
it. And Bell is, I mean, he's the backup right now, but I mean, he's dangerous as well. But I mean, they just have so many different playmakers on that team, and their defense, I mean, they love to play with a lead. They are fantastic whenever they get that lead. And whenever you get Patrick Mahomes, guess what? 99% of the time, you're probably gonna have the lead. So I just, there's only one team that frightens me, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. And if we were to face anyone in the playoffs, that's the only team that I see that would give us a huge disadvantage. Now, once again, we've lost to Baltimore big time, at the beginning of the year, and we lost to the Steelers. I mean, it wasn't as long ago as what it feels like. It feels like it was 2 years ago, the last time that we played the Steelers, and whenever they beat us, I believe 38-7. So they kicked our ass, just straight up. They did. But once again, you didn't have your full complement of people there. Nick Chubb was not playing in that game. And I told you, if you have Nick Chubb on that game, it's not a completely different story, but I like my chances a little bit better.
So on the Facebook page, on Big Play's Facebook page, some people watching there as well. And
thank you, by the way.
Yep. Brian Offenberger, I think a fellow Ohio Media School alumni as well. He is watching right now and brings up a point I wanted to talk to you and Peter about, the question I was kind of teasing you guys a little bit ago. And he's saying, shouldn't we be more concerned with finishing games? We won't win a Super Bowl if we don't learn how to finish and play a solid 4 quarters. So the Browns win this game. And, of course, I think every fan would take winning against a team above 500, with that being the main question mark, the main talking point. CBS Sports putting out there, all these other people putting out there, 7-0 against teams under 500, 1-3 coming into today against teams above 500. We would take a game like this where we have to, we still have to learn how to finish, but we win the game over getting trounced by the Ravens and the Steelers.
Of course.
However, that is we try to keep it real here.
100%.
How concerned are you about this team still having that question mark about finishing games, haven't played a full game yet, or how much should we actually be concerned about that?
1 to 10, I'm probably at a 5. I'm pretty neutral with it right now.
Where's that Baker Love meter 1 to 10?
I mean, he's a franchise quarterback. There's no love meter anymore.
Okay,
he broke it.
The love meter is broken. He is at an 11, and you know what? Franchise, just crown him.
I was going to try to get your sponsor for that.
You know what? Maybe we'll bring it back.
Okay.
We'll bring it back. But right now, I'm probably at a 5, which is, I mean, I'm on the fence. Okay, cool. I'm try never to be on the fence on something. I try, like E. Goldie, our mentor, told us, typically it's you're on one side or the other. Try not to be on the fence. I'm on the fence on this one because I am a little concerned that we haven't seen a full game. However, we did see probably the greatest half of football Browns football has ever seen. Okay, the fact that you go and score on, I believe it was 6 straight drives, and what 4 or 5 of those, 5 of those were touchdowns. Like you don't see much, and like the one field goal should have been a touchdown.
Should have been.
Like that's the thing. We should have had 6 touchdowns in that first half, been up, in the 40s. It didn't happen, and that's fine, but. You have things to work on, a lot of things to work on, especially in that second half. You got to learn how to finish out these teams because I would have thought that they would have learned how to do that from this, from the Cowboys when, a couple, months ago now.
Right.
But you need to learn how to do that. And you have the greatest compliments to do that in the running game. So you you got to step on their throats whenever you have the opportunity. In the first half, I thought it was excellent. I thought Stefanski called the greatest game I've ever seen in that first half. And in the second half, the defense started letting up. It's hard to be dominant 60 straight minutes.
Right.
It is.
Right.
Not every team's going to do it. And not every team's perfect. No one's going to play a perfect game. But they played as close to a perfect half as possible, and that gives me hope going forward. Going up against the bigger opponents, though, Baltimore next week, and then we have the Giants and Jets, and then we finish up with Pittsburgh. Okay. Obviously, Baltimore and Pittsburgh are the 2 main games that we absolutely need to keep an eye on.
Giants have won 4 in a row.
Giants have won 4 in a row. And you know what? The Giants' defense is not to be scoffed at.
Yeah,
they made Russell
legit.
Wilson look amateurish today.
23 of 45, I think it was.
And I think they only put up like 12 or 15 points. It was nothing.
Well,
okay.
Look who their quarterback was.
What?
Well, the Seahawks put up 12.
Yep.
And Giants only put up 17 because you have Colt McCoy back there, but
oh, yeah.
gunslinger Colt McCoy,
good old Colt.
105 yards on the day.
Right. Yeah. Not that great. I'm glad we moved on from him. But I really do feel like we have a great complement of people there for us. I think that we can learn from this, get better, and then whenever we get to the bigger opponents, once again, today was my biggest question mark for Baker's career. This was the biggest game of Baker Mayfield's career, and he dominated in it. And I can't wait to see what the national media says now.
Well, and I know that you kind of quote tweeted the guy we won't mention who has a show on one of the national guys.
I agreed with him though. We're talking about Colin,
right?
We're talking Colin, but I agreed with him. He needed to shut people up, and he absolutely did.
Yeah, he needed to shut people up. I wouldn't take it so far as on the way home if he didn't play as well or they didn't win the game, like they're gonna make some sort of private decision, like going that far. He's got to go that far to get and get people talking about it. And we're giving him credit now.
We're doing exactly what we shouldn't be doing, but that's on me.
Yes,
so.
But I'm just saying, like, I understand where people were saying prove it. It just to take it that far seemed unnecessary. But he is the first quarterback since 1951 with Otto Graham to have 4 touchdowns in the first half. Like, you want to shut someone up, you go out there in one half and go ahead and do that for you. Right. And he's someone that's going to try to shut people up. But this team does need to learn how to finish. Peter, where are you at with it? If you want to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you with this team finishing games?
I think for me, it's always a concern because today I kind of felt like I was watching a Buckeyes game.
Okay.
Way up in the first half, and then you kind of let them go in. And
sure.
To me, I really felt like the play calling was, in the second half, was more of a, let's just not lose this, as opposed to the first half was much more smash mouth. The throw, a lot more passing plays.
Agreed.
I think there were just a lot of series in the second half where we came out and it was 3 run plays just to try and eat up the clock.
Yeah.
And the problem is if we didn't get the first down, because the run game wasn't. They defended the run game relatively well.
Both teams did.
Yeah. So, yeah.
The biggest surprise was that no one went over 100 yards rushing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I'm concerned. I'm concerned that they need to make sure, like you said, you can't take your foot off. You got to keep going. You have to put it away. I would have loved to see them score 60 points or more, and just keep more offense. But on the other hand, I get it. You don't want to have to force throws. You don't want to give those opportunities for the other team's defense to make a big play and get them back in the game. But they crept up a lot more than I was comfortable with.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would put it at a 6 of my concern for that. But with the trust, because we've already seen Coach Stefanski prove it, not just say he's going to make changes and correct mistakes that he's made.
Yeah.
They're actually doing that. Again, the words are translating to action on the field. And when Coach Stefanski has made a mistake, we have seen that corrected. Now, yes, we saw this same thing against Dallas, and we saw it today. Big gap between those games, but I think probably woke Stefanski back up to what he thought of after that Dallas game and what he may not have put into his mind in that second half. So next time this team, and it may come quickly of a situation like this, next time this team is in this situation, you're going to see something different, a different attack from the way this team approaches.
At least you hope so.
You hope so, but you're starting to build that trust. And if he doesn't do that, it is okay to criticize him and yet still have faith in Coach Stefanski to be our guy as the coach, as we have faith in Baker to be our guy at quarterback. It's just you are going to have to learn how to finish. And you're a team, you're an organization that has not had much playoff experience, very little, in the time that you've been back since 1999. And you have now established a winning record for the first time since 2007. You haven't been 9-3 since 1994. I mean, those years in the 80s where they were consistently going to the playoffs, nothing anywhere close in this new era of Browns football.
Right.
And in order to get to that point and truly contend, you got to go through adversity. You got to go through the moments where you learn how to win and are not the team finding new ways to lose, as we had every single week. But at some point, that's got to sink in so that you're prepared for that next big stage that comes at you, because the NFL will put those big stages in front of you week to week to week. Yes, you face teams that may be below 500, but they're all professional, and you got to go out there and win those games. And right now, we have a team that I have faith in, when they have things to work on, are going to work on those, going to focus on everything in-house in Berea and move forward and correct those the next time. You heard it from everybody after the game too. Jarvis saying, I missed a catch. Baker's one of the main things he's worried about, not how great he was in the first half, it's his fumble. Stefanski, bad play call that he had.
Right.
They're focusing on those little things because it's the little things that win you championships. Yes, defense wins championships. It's the little things in the game that create, develop, and win you championships.
I just want to wrap this up here before we head into some Buckeye talk and go from there. But this was Baker Mayfield's starting-wise 41st game. Mm-hmm. He is now 21-20. We finally have a winning quarterback. Thank God. We finally have a winning quarterback. And once again, his record against top tier talent is at, I believe, 6-12 so far. Okay. So there are still plenty of issues that we need to correct, but he has plenty of time to do that. And you have two certifiably teams that are above 500 that you have the opportunity to get to 8 wins at that point in time. The Steelers are beatable. I'm sorry. I know they're 11-0, but they are a beatable team, especially after the losses of defensive players that they have. I mean, they are getting devastated with injury right now. They can't run the ball, by the way, either. No one talks about that. The Steelers,
I did.
The Steelers are a piss poor running attack. It is what it is. Big Ben is having a fantastic year.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, so 100% cool. Okay, he's having a great year, but this team can be beat. You have to be quick off the edge. You have to hit them. How do you beat a bully? You punch them right in the face. And that's how we beat the Ravens, and that's how we beat the Steelers. From here on out, this is how it's done. This is Cleveland football.
and the way you finish games is doing exactly what you did to the Titans. You took away their main options. When you didn't just tackle Derrick Henry, you hit Derrick Henry.
Right.
When he was met in the hole, it looked like he was about to break through. He got stood up. There was a fourth down play or it was 3rd and goal or 4th and goal maybe for the Titans, and he got stood up at the goal line. Like, it looked like there was a crease.
I believe Sheldon hit him.
Sheldon?
I believe
was that the 2-point conversion?
Oh, that may have been the
That
2-point conversion.
might have been
Yeah.
the 2-point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a 2-point conversion, and B.J. Goodson was coming up with big plays today. Myles Garrett, dude gets held more than any.
Oh man!
Like, I thought stars get calls, but I guess not. I don't know, but that's neither here nor there.
Jacob will tell you how many times I was yelling at the TV because you see Garrett's head back, and I think they had one. He got one flag for the hands to the face.
He may have
in his favor.
Yeah,
maybe.
But
I
I
don't
saw
even
so
think
many
that. Yeah.
that were.
I think that was Claiborne, actually. They got the hands to his face because I think Miles was on the sideline there.
You're right. It was Claiborne. You're right.
And this is one of those things, and Chris Oldak, of the Really Big Show, actually commented on it. Aren't stars supposed to get calls?
Like, that's what I thought.
like Michael Jordan got calls all the time. LeBron gets calls all the time. Not as much as he should, by the way. Let's put that out there.
Yeah.
But Myles Garrett should get calls.
Yes.
And then, but
See,
it's so tough for the defensive football players, though, because, like, I see
Yeah.
Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald gets held every single play.
and especially playing in the interior like he does.
It's like it's a foregone conclusion. He's going to get held on 99% of the plays, and it's just it is what it is. They could call a flag every single time, but like Miles has to be like he just has to get past that sort of mental issue. It's not even a mental issue.
No, it's not.
Because I mean he still does a damn good job, and he came off that edge and got him Tannehill so quick.
Yeah.
Like within 0.5 seconds, he already wrapped him up. It was the greatest sack ever because he was so quick getting off that ball. I love Miles, but he needs to get more calls.
Well, and the common cliche of stars get calls
Yeah.
in the professional ranks, that's usually like they get calls when they're not necessarily warranted either. Like,
Right.
an NBA player gets a foul call when actually they traveled or they, like
Which a
those.
lot.
Yeah, I know. Trust me.
I'm not asking for a gift here. I'm
Right.
just asking for
But when it's
open your
like,
eyes.
but when it's like a regular call that you should make for like on anybody, if anybody
Yeah.
was being held in that situation, and
Yeah.
a guy that you're supposed to be promoting and is going to be one of those big stars in your league can't get those calls. Like there was one before he went off sides to give them 4th and 5, and they scored that last touchdown. He got held on his face mask.
Yeah.
Not even like in the shoulder pads. He was being like the face mask is being grabbed off, and he's still pushing this guy into
absolutely.
Tannehill, making things tough on him. Love Miles, love Jarvis, love Baker. We're 9-3. We're gonna be celebrating. We get a 9th victory
Monday, baby.
Oh, it feels
Woo!
so good. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention when I mentioned how Baker tied Otto Graham with most touchdowns in the first half in franchise history, only second player to do so. It is Otto Graham's birthday today on December 6th. And another person's birthday on December 6th. Shout out to my sister, Amy Arnold, out in
Hey,
Seattle.
happy birthday.
I know the Seahawks didn't win, but hey, Cleveland won, so we're all feeling good.
Right.
And hopefully Columbus Crew and your Seattle, whatever they're called.
Sounders?
Yeah,
Is
Sounders,
that what it is?
I don't know.
I don't
mean,
even know soccer.
I know.
Nailed it.
I'm thinking Browns, like my mind's there.
Right.
I'm not even thinking soccer, and you guys know where I'm at with soccer all the time. So, Crew versus Sounders, that might sound like a good MLS Cup. We'll see. But happy birthday to you, and of course, a happy belated birthday to our very own Nick Paulus, who had his birthday on
Hey, thank
December
you.
1st. So
Appreciate that. Thank you.
So a lot of birthday shout outs to go around.
Yep.
As we switch gears, sticking in the football ranks right now, Ohio State's getting a win over Michigan State. And of course, I was in a green uniform at work on Saturday, which I didn't like, while I had to try to find a way to watch that game. But they do win 52-10. Peter just brought it up how Browns game felt kind of like the first 4 Buckeye games where they get out to a big lead and then they're kind of just hanging on by their teeth. And I've mentioned that in passing as well. We've had our conversations about those, but Ohio State in their college ranks held to a different pedigree and have had a different lineage of pedigree over the last several years than the Browns have in their professional ranks. But they get that win. Will we actually see the game this coming weekend?
I think we do. I got this gut feeling that they're going to play it somehow. And if you're a Michigan fan, God bless you. I mean, I wouldn't turn on the game. I don't know if you saw it or not. Do you know what the spread is for the game?
It's got to be over 20 at this point. Is it close to 30?
29.5. When was the last time you saw a rivalry game the game be more than 10 points? I mean, I don't remember a time, at least personally for me. I'm not the biggest gambler, but but that point spread, 29.5 points. They really think that Ohio State is going to put up 30 more points. And you know what? I would double it.
Well, Michigan State, I think the spread was 23.
Yeah. And crush that too. Yeah. So I'm telling you right now, Ryan Day coming back off of COVID is going to do everything that is almost illegal to this the team up north. They are going to get there's going to be a lot of bad things that happen to that team up north, because I'm telling you right now, I know Fields is out of the Heisman contention. He really is. It's unfortunate. He had the one bad game, and then there's been 2 or 3 games canceled on him. Justin might throw for 7 touchdowns. I could realistically see him throwing for 7 and then running at least 3 others in. By the way, that's 70 points. I think they get to 70, and they could realistically get even more than that. I think Michigan gets a gimme touchdown, because maybe even a couple of touchdowns, because once again, the Buckeyes defense is not great. And with all of these guys out on COVID, once again, I understand that they're out 23 people, and maybe not all 23 have COVID, but they're out all those people still. And I guarantee you, they still put up at least 50 on this team.
Yeah, their offensive line,
decimated.
A lot of guys are out on their offensive line.
And this Michigan State team that we just torched by 40 beat that Michigan team. This is by far probably the worst Michigan team of my entire life. Okay? I've been on this earth for 32 years. Probably the worst team of all time for them. And I can't wait to see what they do.
I actually can't believe Kirk Herbstreit took back, apologized for what he said about, making those claims against...
It was a bad thing to say.
It's a bad thing to say from where, the perspective he's coming from.
Right.
But the attitude in that...
He's not wrong.
I know. That's why I was I get why you're apologizing, but I also don't get it, because just, the mentality and, they seemed defeated after they went to 1-3, and there's just no... I guess no energy or anything in that program.
They've quit. They quit on Harbaugh. And I understand that you don't want to say, this team doesn't want to play due to the COVID reason is you shouldn't be going there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Kirk, you shouldn't have said that. That being said, you're not wrong. I can't wait to see what happens with this game, because I guarantee what's going to end up happening if they don't play. Okay, I think the Big Ten is going to retract that 6-game rule. I think that they will, or Ohio State could play someone like Nebraska next week, who apparently has. I don't think they have a bye week, but if something adds up, they're able to play them. I think that they would be allowed to play them again. No matter what, I think that the Buckeyes do get their 6th game, and that will either be the Nebraska game, or if they can't play Michigan, they will play in the Big Ten championship game. It's almost a lock, because the Big Ten needs money. Okay. All of these conferences need money. And what does Ohio State provide? Money, and boatloads of it. So everyone, I'm not saying everyone wants to see Ohio State in the game, but they bring in dollars. And in this cash strapped world that we're living in due to COVID, like even the $1 billion guys still are pretty greedy, and they want more. So I guarantee you that's what's going to end up happening.
Peter, do they play this game?
I think they figure out a way to do it. If Michigan does back out, then I agree with Nick. I think the Buckeyes, they'll try to find another team for them to face on Saturday. Though I am hoping that they do play this Michigan team, because I believe a couple months ago maybe we had a conversation of, do the Buckeyes hang 100 on Michigan this year?
We did.
Yeah.
We did talk about that.
And you got a motivated coach today coming back who did say that.
So what do you guys think? Can they hang 100?
100's a lot.
100's a lot.
I just told you 10 touchdowns is 70 points.
Yeah. But if there was ever a year where that was capable in the game, at least more points than you've seen or you should see in a game like this, definitely that has the potential. I'd put the 100. That's still, I think, in my mind, a little far-fetched.
That's over 14 touchdowns.
I'm still gonna put that as a little over far-fetched, but I'm telling you right now, it's still in Ryan Day's head, and it's more so now than ever before. If they're just chomping at the bit, looking at that team.
14 touchdowns, so that's a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's a lot of touchdowns.
But they don't all have to be offensive.
No,
that's true.
That's true.
That's true. 14 touchdowns gets you 98 points. So you'd have to go for 2. Well, on that final one. On the last couple, you'd have to go for 2. But I would love to see it, obviously, because it would be the greatest disgrace of all time.
Yeah.
And the biggest slap in the face. And I would love to see that. I don't think it's possible, at least in today's game, especially with the clock and people, just having a soul. Like Ryan Day might say he wants to hang 100. By about 70, he'll be like, you know what? Let's make sure we get everyone out of here. No one gets hurt.
Right.
No cheap shots happen. Nothing like that. And let's just go about our day.
So sidebar to that, is it Harbaugh's last game?
Absolutely. Has to be. And there were rumors that he's looking for NFL jobs. So
if it's not, thank you, School Up North. Thanks.
Throw him the extension.
I'm pretty sure you could take up a collection among Buckeye fans to pay for his next contract.
100%, no doubt. The donors would be going crazy.
If they dropped 100, you'd be getting backups of the backups dropping points. You'd see guys that were third stringers having 3 touchdowns to their record.
They just brought in that Stroud kid, and he ran for 40. He ran for 40 and a touchdown. Absolutely. I mean, if I'm telling you, 100 points, that is a hell of a lot of points. I think 70 is more realistic. Just thinking about it, the fun fact of them trying to go for 100 though would be awesome. And talk about style points. I mean, that would be style on top of style, but I just don't see 100 happening. 70 is realistic. We put up 66 a couple of years back, so that's definitely possible.
Now, with all this fun talk of dropping 100 on that team up north, just dropping into Coach Kev's corner real quick.
Sure.
First of all, beat the team up north. Just get don't just think about scoring 100. Make sure you win, and then you get the style points on the end. That's totally fine, and you make the Big Ten championship game. But I will say, I think the Big Ten would change that rule if they back out and they don't get another game to adhere to that rule. I think they would, because the Big Ten, like you said, wants to get money, and they want the chance for one of their schools. If Ohio State's the only one, we know the detractors and the haters of Ohio State would be like, oh, you wouldn't do that for Nebraska, you wouldn't do that for Iowa or anything. But these conferences are looking at it. And it's duh. Right.
I disagree, because I think if Iowa or Nebraska were in the
contending
top 4, that they would.
Well, and that's the point with Ohio State, is that is the Big Ten's chance, and the NCAA, the Big Ten, the college athletic programs are still all about money. And in order to have the chance to get more money and play in more games, be on a bigger stage, Ohio State is the only school that gives you that chance.
So, and I 100% agree with you on that. And I'm looking at the Big Ten East and West Conference, win-loss, everything like that. Obviously the only team in the East outside of Ohio State that should even have a whiff of getting into the Big Ten championship game would be Indiana. However, once again, they just lost their quarterback. They did have a pretty epic win this past weekend over, I believe it was Wisconsin. There for them. So, congrats to them. They are number 12, but once again, you had them handily. They scored some and whatever, and the game got a little close, whatever. Okay,
and they're on the same side as Ohio State and the East and
but
West division, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like if they didn't change that rule, like Indiana, like I understand, like Indiana can slide in there. It would be a slap in the face to everyone that watches Big Ten games to see Indiana go ahead of Ohio State just because of that stupid rule. So once again, I think, and Barry Alvarez, I believe, was talking about that, and he was saying, you know what, we might take a look at that, at the at the 6-game rule and change that. The fact that they came up with the 6-game rule, by the way, is idiotic. Just to start that off, that was dumb.
They've done a lot thinking that they've been at the forefront for everything, and they've changed their mind so many different times. And it'd be another time that they change their mind if they do change the rule. But you just brought up the number one point of why they would do it. And as much as we are Scarlet and Gray lovers, and that's running through our veins,
of course,
it's still like, I'm trying to express this in the most unbiased way, looking at it from their perspective. You put in Indiana over Ohio State because they were able to adhere to the rule and play enough games, and Ohio State wasn't. Well, guess what? The team that's in the Big Ten championship game was beat by someone that can't be there because of your rule.
Right.
So that's the main reason why they would do that. Quickly, do you the Big Ten conference would make that change because they would want a representative from the conference to have a chance at the college football playoff, kind of as if they're rooting for their conference. As fans, though, do you root for any of the other schools in the Big Ten conference when they're in those bowl games playing SEC schools or like on those bigger stages or in the college football playoff? Do you root for those teams? Like that team up north? Do you ever root for them in those instances?
I mean, maybe not Michigan, but like I am cool with I'm cool with them getting blown out every time. Like at the same time though, like I'm cool with Michigan being 11-0 heading into the game because I know we're gonna stomp them. Like that's not an issue with me. Michigan doesn't even show up on my radar 90% of the time. Like if they win, okay, cool. We're gonna stomp them out next week or whenever we got to face them. Obviously, I don't want them to win, but if they did, like I said, I'm cool with it because I know we can beat you. Right. All the other Big Ten teams, I do root for them, because they're not really there's some rivals, Penn State and Wisconsin or even Iowa. I'm cool with all of them, just because once again I know we can beat them, and it helps out our record because the worst thing about this year is that all of the teams that we thought were going to be good sucked. And that kills our strength of schedule. Penn State was ranked the 6th team in the nation, and then they just boom, they sucked all the way through this year. So I do root for the other teams, maybe not so much Michigan, but the other teams for sure.
Well, I don't root for that team up north because I can't even say their name, and I won't say their name as much as this is a professional setting, and I know I technically need to. I won't say that word. You can't make me. Ha 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 ha. Do you root for them, Peter? Any of the teams?
I root for the Big Ten teams, especially in the bowl games. Because what Nick said, I want to see the Big Ten, looked at as a powerhouse, and I don't want it to be they go into these bowl games and get blown out. Now that team up north, I don't root for them. But I want them to do well.
Sure.
And I'd prefer that they win because the same thing. I mean, I hope we play this game and Ohio State just demolishes them. But on the other hand, I like it when they're a good team and Ohio State demolishes them because it just makes it that much sweeter that you're not, what was it, a couple years ago when they had the number one defense and they were, they guaranteed the win and got their butts handed. That was what, 62?
I thought that was it 62 or 66? I
think it was 62.
Okay.
I think it was 62-39 was the final of that game. And
number one defense in the nation.
Right. And Ohio State just made them look foolish.
Right.
And I love that.
Yeah,
Those
true.
It's so nice.
Those are the moments that are always the best.
But yeah, I definitely root for the Big Ten teams. I want the conference to be seen as a powerhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, over time, I've started to do that as well. Like, have that mindset. Like, you want the conference to do well so that when you play those teams that are doing well, then you look even, like, Ohio State looks even better. It's so difficult to root for any of those teams, but I will not, I repeat, I will not ever root for that team up north. You can't make me. Ha 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 ha. Just so you guys are, just to reiterate that point.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, you still want the conference to do well, and the conference wants to have the ability to show off at least one school from their conference that's saying, hey, we have this representative, our football programs are great, or like our conference builds stars. Like that, they want that to be on the national stage so that they can make their money and continue to recruit more of the better talent athletically to their conference over the others. That's what it all comes down to. Now, just wrapping things up, we asked everybody tonight, is Baker our guy, and do you have any concerns about the defense and not being able to finish games? Jake on Facebook had said that's 100% need to worry about keeping a lead in reference to finishing. No matter what, if we do that against Pittsburgh, could end badly. Some of the non-calls were bad, as we were kind of talking about Miles as well. Miles being held a lot. But regardless, as we kind of said in the beginning, we won. We are 9-3. And Matthew Hernandez says Baker was making those cookies. He was Mayfield sure was baking today in that first half. And my cousin Nicole wants to send a special birthday shout out to you as well.
Hey, thank you very much.
So she's watching along, and thank you to everyone that did tune in tonight. That is going to wrap it up, of course, for this edition of The Voice of Land. We will be back next Sunday. If you missed any part of the episode, we'll be posting special clips throughout the week, but you can always go back on our Twitter, Facebook, as well as the Big Play Facebook and YouTube pages and Sportscaster to find the replay of the show. And we'll put it on Google, Spotify, and Apple for all of you podcast listeners and audio listeners of the show. But for my brother, Nick Paulus, and our producer extraordinaire, Peter Tellup, I'm Kevin Arnold, reminding all of you, of course, if you are interested in trying out for the Cleveland Crunch, make sure you check them out on December 12th and 13th. It is $80 now. I know that they had the early registration fee, but it'll be registration at the door for $80, but a great, I know that the money going into a great place, great organization, so go ahead, check them out, and get ready for indoor soccer coming back. Shout out to the Columbus Crew for making the MLS Cup. We'll be cheering them on next Saturday night against either Minnesota or Seattle. And for all you sports fans out there, remember, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. That team up north will lose no matter what. And we love you all 3,000. We will see you all next week.